Welcome to Full Plate, just like the song says. I am so glad you're here, and my name is Rebecca Rainier. See, it rhymes. Fancy. All right, Laura Hanley is here today, and you may recognize her. We had her on a couple of weeks ago. Laura runs the website called G-Free Laura, and I was looking. I like young, wild, and gluten-free.
Yes.
I love it. So we're talking about gluten-free all the time lately because so many people are doing gluten-free diets for various different reasons, right?
So and everyone knows at least one gluten-free person nowadays.
It's the truth. Everyone knows one person at least that's gluten-free. So in your case, you're gluten-free. What kind of benefits do you find lifestyle-wise for your gluten-free living?
Well, I would be ill when I had gluten before, so I just feel 100 times healthier. But as you said, other people go gluten-free for different reasons. It kind of just makes you feel healthier in a general sense. So
absolutely. So, and the blog is, explain your tagline. Was it free, wild, young, wild, free, gluten-free?
Young, wild, and gluten-free. Well, I'm a 20-something, so I'm not necessarily a mommy blogger, so I might write about drinking margaritas at a Mexican restaurant and kind of write about that thing that doesn't necessarily identify to the people who are looking for more family recipes.
Idea.
And I do a lot of super easy recipes as well, because when you're cooking for one person, it's different than cooking for a family. So
okay, so what's the biggest challenge do you find maintaining your gluten-free diet?
The biggest challenge is probably just traveling. Sometimes it's difficult because like if you're with work out of town, and you're with people you're not necessarily super comfortable with, like going out to lunch and stuff, you kind of feel like you're holding them back from going specific places.
To a pizza joint or something.
Yeah. So then you're like, oh, well, the only place we can go around here is this place. So
right, you don't want to feel like, some sort of hothouse flower.
Yeah.
Oh, she can't do it because she's got these dietary things. So that is a challenge when you're traveling, especially for work. Just figuring out where to eat is a big deal. All right, so and we're going to talk about that too. At the end of the program, you had a fantastic vacation. So we're going to get to that because part of her blogging experience, she gets to go really cool places and see how well they do with gluten-free at these different locations, which is so good. Have you ever done Disney?
No, I haven't. I've never been to anywhere Disney.
Oh,
yeah. We'll have to talk to my mom about that one because clearly my childhood.
Way to go, mom. Gluten-free mom. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today, though, is it is barbecue season, grill season, 4th of July party season, and even if you're not gluten-free, if you're hosting the party, you do have, your odds are you're going to have someone that has that kind of issue. We've got 5 good tips, correct, about how to not totally mess up this party for your gluten-free guests. So let's start it out. What is the first thing we should kind of be reminded of?
Well, the first thing is when you're grilling your food, put foil down on your grill, because when you're grilling with your family, you might use certain marinades or toast your buns. You're contaminating the surface for a gluten-free individual. So if you put foil down and then you cook the meat at the party, if you're going gluten-free, you would have choose fresh ground meat. If you're doing hot dogs, go with kosher, and you're a lot safer that way. So
start with the grill. Cover it so that you don't have the residual whatever you had on there. And think about the kosher meats for
hot dogs, and then
just that have fillers.
The fresh ground meat is good for hamburgers.
Okay, because you just don't know what the fillers are.
Yeah, the fillers, you could have certain spices in there that aren't safe, or breadcrumbs. So
that's important. Okay, so grill number 1. What's our next thing to keep in mind for gluten-free grill guests?
The next tip is to have separate platters. So once you use your once your meat is done, put it on a separate plate. So it can be separate from all of the other guests. And I have like the toppings right here, which is also needed to keep everything safe. When you think about a tong going for the tomato and then hitting the bun and then going back onto the plate, it can contaminate the food for the gluten-free person. Lettuce.
Runaway lettuce. All contaminated. Don't eat it. Don't eat it. Okay, so and you also have a label on this plate.
Yes, this kind of just makes your guest feel even safer, and it also
just reminds you.
Yeah, and it reminds other guests too. Like, okay, I have a gluten-filled bun right here, I'm going to go to the other platter with all the other toppings.
Okay, so make sure they're separate on the platters and do something. This, again, you can get the fancy
Yes.
label
Or
that says it, or you could do the unfancy
yeah,
version.
unfancy is, a piece of tape in front of the plate and Sharpie on gluten-free. We've done that many a times as well. So
Sharpies work almost for everything.
Yes.
Okay, so then the next thing is a really terrific idea. Sometimes we think we're being fancy and we're putting our mayonnaise and our ketchup and our mustard in little things with spoons, but you say not if you, almost any, health concern, this is better. Talk about the squeeze bottle.
Do a squeeze bottle for your condiments at your barbecue because, as you said, putting your condiments in a bowl with either a spoon or a knife, the knife goes into the condiment, onto a bun, and back in, and you contaminate it with gluten. So you can be safe for all your guests when you use squeeze bottles because you just squeeze it on.
I never would have thought of that. I would think I'm being so Martha with my little condiments and the little things, but that really does cross-contaminate because it is exactly what you do. You slap it on the bun and put it back in, thinking, then you are a double dipper. Okay.
Yeah, no double dipping.
And that's really thinking about double dipping is the whole problem at a party or an event. Okay, so then here's the other issue: gluten-free hot dog buns, hamburger buns. I mean, bread is a problem.
Yes. Well, right here I have some gluten-free bun alternatives, and they have little labels right there to notify the guests that they're gluten-free. You can provide a gluten-free bun for your guests, or you could just keep this lettuce separate, and they can do a lettuce wrap alternative as well.
Okay, so but all of your gluten-free products are on one plate. You're not going to put, these are gluten-free too. You're not going to put any, not one big plate, separate it and put your little flag. I have claimed this bun for France and gluten-free.
Yes.
I really like it. But those are adorable.
Yeah, and you can find gluten-free buns pretty much at every national food chain nowadays. Now these are Char brand, and I get them at Meijer's, but you can also get other brands at Kroger and Whole Foods. So,
do you have a favorite flour alternative in breads as you've tested? Like, oh, I don't particularly like almond, but I do particularly like.
I don't really have a specific flour because a lot of the things I enjoy have like a bajillion different gluten-free flours in them.
It's a process to come up with.
Yes, it is a science. But my favorite gluten-free bun is a brand called Canyon Bakehouse. Unfortunately, they're not as widely available. They're more of a Whole Foods kind of bun. So kind of treat yourself when you're at Whole Foods and get that brand.
If you're looking to maintain your gluten-free but have a hamburger.
Yes.
Okay, so then the other thing we sort of touched on too is the utensils.
Yes.
And this is really, that's
this
adorable.
Cute little tag right here, and these are all dishwasher safe, so you could attach it to a gluten-free strainer otherwise, and it's always gonna wash with the strainer and everything. So these are glutenfreelabels.com is where you can get these. But the fifth tip is have a separate utensil for your other side dishes at the party. So if you're putting, this is a quinoa dish, totally gluten-free, and non-gluten-free people will enjoy it as well. So if it's sitting next to the pasta salad, you want to make sure that the utensil is definitely gluten-free. No one's going to swap spoon to the different dish.
Right, because you do that when you're in a line and on the buffet, oh, they didn't put a spoon in here, or someone walks off with a spoon. And I really like the idea of the label too, because it does alert people that we are trying to make sure that we don't contaminate from one to the other. So label the spoon, make sure it's separate. What's the biggest pitfall, do you think, when you go someplace? Where do people mess this up? With the gluten-free.
If a meal is generally gluten-free, for instance, if we're having kind of like a make your own sandwich thing at work even, I always need to go first because of the utensils, touching the deli meat and touching the bread. So I kind of do the thing where I always cut in line and apologize to people.
Better than getting sick.
Yeah, so you can get to everything before there's even chance of contamination.
Before you crazy people contaminate everything. Okay, let's go to the website again. It is G-Free, Laura, and all of your recipes and tips are on the website.
Yep.
It is a beautiful website, a totally fun resource, and like I said, it makes it livable for someone in their 20s
Yeah.
to be gluten-free. We'll have to talk about beer. You probably don't drink any beer. Oh no, that's a problem.
There is gluten-free beer available. Don't worry.
That's good. All right. Stay with us when we come back. We are going to make a BLT. It is gluten-filled, but it's just as delicious. Stay with us.